Thoughts of a Pastlife Warrior here, and I have a lot more to continue with my introduction. I've got a whole lot more. Last time I did try to go a bit more casual and off the top. No, not casual. I just tried to be more off the top, but I knew in mind what I wanted to explain. This time, I know exactly what I want to explain. The first point being recovery, and that's going to cover a lot of the base of how everything's been going right now. Because as a warrior, you do need to understand that there are times for recovery. And I know a lot of people have the mentality like, oh no, warriors never give up. Warriors always go hard, blah, 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 blah. That's 100% true. But they're not the type to neglect recovery. Because that as much is a progressive move than it is a surrender. It is 100% not a surrender. It's a surrender if you flee and you just, no longer engage. But when you recover means that you are gonna come back to do more, to play more, to fight more. The other one is I'm going to touch a bit on devotion, and when we get down to it, I want to talk about your role as a warrior, because anyone can be a warrior in any situation, in any faction or community or army. See, when I say army, we then know that many soldiers and many of the armed forces have different positions, different roles to play, different ranks. And that is very much an important thing to realize when you go on your road to finding your inner strength and being your inner warrior. I'll touch on that soon. But recovery, for me, I'll be honest, I'm actually going through a bit of recovery right now. I'm technically always going through recovery if you actually get to know me. Because I'm a bit of a... Many call me reckless. Let's just say I'm curious. Yeah, I'm a curious person. A curious warrior. So, like a cat, I get very curious and I snoop around, whether I like it or not, because I believe that curiosity ain't gonna kill this cat. No way. How can it? Remember, this is the game and dance that I love. So, death? No way. But yeah, I am in a slight recovery, and this warrior spirit I talk about, it's got to do with everything in life. It's not only the fights or the engagements of violence, because I know essentially it is the engagement of violence, but war and being a warrior, it's not always violence. It's not always physical violence. For example, like the Cold War. That is a war whether you like it or not. The Cold War is still going on till this day. It has not ended. And it is a form of violence. And violence does get involved. Maybe where we don't see it. But war always wages, whether you see physical violence or not. It's when people are made to accept decisions that they do not wish to accept. They don't even wish to accept any of the compromises. That is an act of war, or that is a form of war. Those putting out and playing out those situations where others have to accept, that's the act of war. And at times when life brings us into situations where we need to accept what has happened, and as warriors eventually adapt and stand up again, just before we stand, there is that slight recovery. Now, one of the most important things that everyone must understand is how well they recover to what kind of situation. This is a very important part of being a warrior, because if you don't understand how well you recover to what threshold of optimal activity you need to be at, and if the others around you don't understand that either, there's a fault in the system. That's not the right way to say it. There's a chink in the chain. That's just a hiccup. That's a weakness in the foundation that needs to be addressed and that needs to be acknowledged. Because fair enough, you might understand your rate of recovery. It might be slow, it might be fast, but if the others around you on your team or on your system or on your program, they don't understand that, it's going to create hiccups. If they don't realize that you recover a lot faster than usual, the whole team might be acting inefficiently to what you could bring to the table. Or you might have been positioned in the wrong position. In the wrong position. If you recover slower, you might be being brought to battle when you're not going to fill your role that needs to be filled as well as you can. So understanding yourself and how well you recover physically, mentally, emotionally, and all the little factors in between all of that, or within all of that, that is a very important thing to acknowledge. Because when you understand that part and you understand the changes that have happened to that part as we all grow over time, you will become more powerful with that knowledge. And those around you will become more powerful with that knowledge. And you will be able to conquer your obstacles a lot more efficiently and effectively when you understand one's rate of recovery in whatever aspect we might be talking about. Right now, I'm recovering spiritually. Yes, I said it again. Spiritual. Ooh, no one likes to deal with that. Like, heebie-jeebie, googly-googly. What's that word they say? That gibberish. But being a warrior is 100%. It's 1,000,000% spiritual, whether you all like it or not. Yes, I said it. Being a warrior and finding that inner warrior spirit within you, that's spiritual. Ooh. Now that means if you're really trying to learn from me, that means you're a hippie. And oh no, everyone's going to think that, you're into dream catchers and colorful fluoro stuff and taking acid. No, okay. That's not spirituality, okay, guys? I said it before. All that trendy stuff is not spirituality. Spirituality is just all about you and understanding yourself. That's all it is. And understanding the way you feel and the way you react. The way the world is around you and the way you are to the world around you. That is what spirituality is. That's why it's being a warrior is finding your role or who you are and finding the best you can bring to your environment or to yourself. And that is why recovery is so important. So spiritually, I'm in a bit of recovery. It's only been like a few days, but I just needed that little bit of just chill, just to regather my spirits. See, get it? Spirits, regather them. Yeah, because I just moved out of where I was living, and I also had to break up with my partner, who's now my ex-partner, and just a few other adjustments that I have to. There's just other adjustments I have to deal with. I've had to, for now, because I couldn't find somewhere to move into yet, bunk at my family's place. So here I'm actually in my family's place, and it's a little hard adjusting to being here because the role that they still want me to fill is the child, when in fact I'm not. So it's kind of hard that all the energy here wants me to be the child when I'm here trying to stand up again. That might not make sense, but it makes complete sense. And I'm not in complete harmony with the energy here. So I will find my way out soon. I need to, because this is not the position I need to be in. But the benefit of it being here, though, is that I can take some time out just to recover. Complete silence, complete stillness, and that helps me reflect, and it helps me meditate on what I need to. Oh, I said meditate. Meditate, it's a bit of a hard thing to explain, but I've always meditated, but not in the way that is presented to everyone. Because what I understand is in meditation is just focus. That's just what I understand. And when you have that focus, you know what it is you have to deal with. And then you'll understand what you need to deal with. And it's also focus so you can get down to the depths of whatever you need to. Whether it be an idea, a situation, or most importantly for many people out there, themselves. So meditation is part of this warrior spirit as well. Because in a sense, it's where you can acquaint yourself with your warrior spirit. It's where you can see if you and that spirit really get along, or can find some sort of compromise that you two can make, so that when it's time for the both of you to dance, not just the both of you, but you and all the other spirits within you, when it's time for all of you to dance, there will be a synchronicity and a harmony that will deliver a beautiful performance. We all hope. But yeah, so right now I'm kind of recovering, and it's kind of affecting my flow of creating this podcast and bringing out the warrior. See, like when I'm upon here, I can still invoke the warrior spirit well, but at the same time, there's a lot of moods and energy that don't put me in that 100% bold and cunning warrior mentality that I would like to present everybody, that I would like to present you all. I'm going to take this podcast a little bit more slowly while I'm here, because when you guys hear me in my more, how do I say this? In my more optimized spirit. Yeah, when I'm in more optimized spirits for explaining the warrior spirit and teaching the warrior spirit and giving the thoughts of what the warrior spirit feels about everything happening in life, you'll know. You'll feel it. You know why? Because it's going to talk with your warrior spirit, and your warrior spirit will listen. So right now, it's kind of like he's just a co-host right now. This warrior spirit is just a co-host, and it's me talking. But that's all right. You know, I'm doing the talking for him. He's all right. Like, you see him at the back over there? He's all right. But yeah, we're going to take it a little bit more slowly. I know this is supposed to be the start of my podcast journey, but it can't be helped. This is the situation. But at least we're doing a little bit. We're doing what we can, as well as we can. I could dish out heaps of like more of this content if I want, But is it really going to be spoken by the host that I'm trying to bring you? So I'll give you the decent portions that I know I will bring out. Back to recovery. Give me one moment. Drink water, guys. That's a lovely part of recovery. Unless you're training yourself to not have little bits of hydration when possible. Because, sometimes we need to train ourselves to not be able to rely on little luxuries like water by our side all the time. Or, being able to eat whenever we choose to. Life doesn't owe us. Life doesn't owe us. I was going to say life doesn't always present us with such luxuries and situations where we get such privileges. But while you're in a position where you can, drink your water. Keep yourself hydrated. Because every time you optimize that physical part of yourself, you'll do everything a lot better. I know it's cool to I don't need this, I'm so strong, blah, 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 blah. But why not just give the best whenever you can? Unless you're training. But yeah. So that will fall into the first point that I think everyone understands, that a warrior should understand. Your optimal performance. A well-rested soldier is a better soldier than one with little sleep or one with little rest. To an extent, there are, the little details that we can talk about in terms of, a soldier that hasn't had much rest and has been on the field for so long, fighting and all that. He's going to be optimized. You know why? Because he's already warmed up. He's already in that complete mindset to do the job. He's already sharp. He's already switched on. He's already adjusted to the climate, the environment, the actions of the foes and all that. Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's important. That's definitely important. And yeah, I guess in that sense, it is better. But that soldier's going to need sleep soon. His lifeline, or how do I say this? His time on the field gets shorter and shorter all the time. A fully rested soldier's got days behind him. I want to work with someone with days behind them. That's definitely more useful to me. I don't want someone that's only got 2 hours max behind them. They'll do mad stuff in that 2 hours, but then and then I have to organize a camp for him, a tent for him and all that, foods, just take him back to camp. I don't want to deal with that. I need my optimized soldiers, the ones that can listen to me for days, that can listen to what I need done, the ones that respond perfectly to things that are going on. Signal to fall back, signal to advance, a signal to change form, and one that can last longer than the foes out there. But not only that, I need someone that keeps up with the speed of the march, or that can lift what he needs to, move how they need to. And in times of war, you don't always get that rest. But to not acknowledge and appreciate any chance of rest you get, that's foolish. A real team looks around at the comrades and sees all right, some of us, we're going to need, this extra half an hour just to sit back. We're going to need this 10 minutes to re-energize everyone's spirits. And you yourself, you might realize, you just need these few minutes just to reflect over what you just engaged in and re-energize your spirits. I've been in situations where I've had me and my comrades, especially one of the generals, they had a bad engagement and they had to retreat for recovery. And because I was part of this faction, you know, a lot of us, we were storming and ready to, not storming, we were ready to go out and do what we needed to, especially in terms of, you know, oh, they got our general, we need to make moves now. But then at the same time, we also had to acknowledge, without our general leading us, we wouldn't be working as effectively as we could have. And we knew we needed our general in a good conscious mind and in good spirits, so that whatever he commands, it's done effectively. He had replacements in front that were, you know, making the little orders that were necessary, but never the full game plan, because the full game plan is always run by the generals. And when you understand being part of, let's just say, for example, an army, it's important that the chain of command is respected. Because if not, that's the easiest way to brew complete anarchy, which is what happens to, I don't know, a lot of organizations. You know, when there's like a power vacuum and then all of a sudden everyone's trying to stand up and they're not patient. It's hard, especially in critical times or times of war or times of, for example, business. You know, especially when in business where, you know, like the clock is always ticking and you're going to either make profits or lose a lot of value. People step up, and not always the best people step up. Or people with the wrong values aren't always the ones that step up. So in a sense, in my example, there was a period that required a bit of recovery. You know, we were hoping a few days and then, like, you know, we could get everything back on track. But it actually took a few weeks. You know, we needed to make sure the general was appropriate, and we kept our position strong as long as we could have. It wasn't easy, but luckily with our experience, we respected what needed to be done. Other people around us, like other factions, are like, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that, blah, 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 blah. But we knew what we had to do. And for that reason, why we kept everything tight, secure, and not over emotional, for lack of a better words, we sustained one thing that is very, very important with recovery, and that's longevity. Proper recovery helps to maintain the longevity of everybody, including yourself. And sometimes that's just way more important than the little skirmishes that you might succeed in. Longevity is completely important because you want to know that you're going to live another day. You want to you want to increase your chances that every day you can live, you've got it. Because every day is a new opportunity to succeed. So long as you have many more days, you have many more opportunities to succeed. You can go on overdrive and slowly wear away your longevity and get the lovely, glorious victories that you want. If that's the way you want to live, then sure enough, you can do it. But maybe not everyone around you wants to live that way. And if you're a true warrior, in your warrior spirit, you are working with others. Warriors work with others. That is one way you can be a true warrior. of course, there's always the story of the lone wolves, and like, oh, they did everything on their own, and everything they built up was all them by themselves. Come on, we all know it's not truly by themselves. There's always helping hands, and they found helping hands. I'm pretty sure most successful people out there did not do everything alone like they talked about. They just found comrades and help in other people's that they didn't expect to. In others that they don't always have a sworn fealty with. But no matter, there were helping hands on the side. And a warrior knows that. Achievement and victory gains when people work together. And when you're a warrior and you really tapped into your warrior spirit, you need to work with people. You need to work with others. And the pace you go at is not always the most tasteful to everyone. It can be. Sometimes, you just need to be the one, the outlier that does the crazy stuff. I don't ever want to promote that. I just hope that everyone else out there considers the longevity, because when it comes to the longevity of everyone can agree with that. Everyone wants more days, more years behind them and their life and their future. And that is what's also important about recovery as well. Sad thing with me, another example is I got into an accident last year, and then because of this accident, I wasn't able to go to my dance training for a while, and it sucked because I was so used to going to my dance training all the time. It was like what's making me lose weight. It was what's keeping me fit, sharp. I could move very well, flexible. I was happy. It's like my happy time. But the fact that I couldn't engage in that because I had broken bones and I was injured, and of course my whole system had to recover as well. It was very hard for me. It brought out a lot of negative emotions out of me. Out of the stagnant stage, and the fact that it was kind of during COVID as well, so there was a whole lot of like loneliness with that as well. Damn, I didn't get no visitors in hospital. That sucked. And even when I was back to my home, I had no one visiting my apartment. It was hard. Shit sucked. But whatever. Eventually, I started to feel better about myself. And even though I wasn't supposed to exercise or like do any intense movement or anything, I kind of didn't care. I was just, trying to exercise myself slightly, like doing slight resistance trainings just to strengthen up my body a bit more, flexibility exercises and all that stuff, just to make sure I was still loose. And then I don't know if my coach understood this or not, but I started coming back to dance training when dance classes were back open, because the COVID-19 restrictions were slightly easing at that point where I was when I was jumping around again. And yeah, so I went to the short, small dance classes and stuff, and it was good. Like, I was so happy because I was finally getting back in the flow, going through everything. It hurt my injuries a lot to do a lot of the movements and executions that I needed to do, especially when a lot of weight is involved and a lot of pressure is involved. On some of the executions, a lot of force needs to be involved in a lot of the executions, but still, like, I was just so happy just to be moving again. But during that time, I was due for another checkup, X-ray on some things. The next week after the X-ray, because it was still COVID, they couldn't just sit with me in the office and tell me. They gave me a phone call, and the doctor was like, "Are you in pain?" And I said, "No, I'm not in pain. What's wrong?" It's like, "Oh, how's your thing doing? Do you find any trouble moving it or using it?" And I said, "No, not really." And the doctor's like, oh, because the break hasn't healed. It's still like not even put back together yet. I was like, what? The break hasn't healed? They're like, yeah, your bones haven't been like healed back together yet. I was like, oh shit. Like, yeah, so sadly we're gonna have to get you to sit back and not do anything for another like half year. I was like, damn, half a year, oh, like not doing anything. And I was thinking to myself, oh damn, maybe I shouldn't have went back to dance practice. Maybe I shouldn't have been putting myself through that shit. Because I admit that I was doing a lot of things that kind of hurt. And I couldn't help it. You know, I was like, oh, nah, screw this, man. I'm strong. It doesn't matter if it hurts. You know, I'm a warrior. Oh, I can just keep going and everything's going to be fine and I'll eventually recover. But that phone call and they told me, yo, your bones have not been healed back together yet. And the fact that, yeah, like this is very bad. Like we might have to do intervention, or you just got to like, we're going to let you rest for a few months and we'll call you back for another x-ray, see what's going on. It made me just snap back to reality, and it's just like, oh man, I got to recover. This is not good. And then I got off the phone at that time and I looked like, oh, whoa. And my coach asked me, hey, what's wrong? And he had to be there. I was like, oh, the doctor just checked my x-rays and they said the bones haven't healed back together yet. And then my coach's like, see, you stupid idiot. And then he started cracking at me. It's like, I fucking told you, stop being a dumb cunt. You know, you're so careless, blah, 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 blah. I was like, I don't know, I feel fine. Even though I felt fine, I was definitely in pain, but, you know, like, whatever. I'm that type of person, even though I'm in pain, like, I just want to have fun so I don't think about what's hurting me. And, yeah, he told me off because even months before that, I broke my foot as well. And then he was already getting pissed off. He's like, man, see, why are you such an idiot? Why are you always, like, breaking your stuff and hurting yourself and all that? And yeah, I admit I don't treat my recovery process as well as I should. And because of that, I've been so delayed in so many things. I went back to dance class a month ago, and even that first time, it was painful. My broken injuries like were painful as hell. I was like, man, I don't think I'm fully recovered. Even though the doctors did tell me I had fully recovered, it didn't feel like it. Like I saw like part of like my bone bulging out a little bit. Like even though the bone had been attached together, I think it's still weak and tender. Like the new bone, it hasn't fully put itself together. And yeah, I have to respect my recovery. And now that I'm in this new situation here, I need to respect my spiritual recovery because it's important. I won't be able to do what I want to do as effectively as I can unless I respect the recovery process and respect what I need to do. I can't excel in my dancing, you know, and I can't show the world and let them experience, you know, my dance mastery because I don't respect my own body the way I should. I respect my body in the way that I believe it can do a lot more than it can because I'm always about pushing to the limit. I don't know if I should be, you know, promoting that, but I know I have to recover more because I've already pretty much been in delay of things I want to do in life. Like a year. I've been waiting more than a year for things I've been wanting to do in life. When I could have just been waiting a few months, but because I was careless and I didn't respect that recovery, I sort of disrespected the process. And in a sense, I may have affected my longevity because the fact that even though I got given the clearance by medical professionals that I was clear to go ahead and engage in physical activities as usual now, the places where the breakages occurred, it don't feel very well. It feels very weak and frail. More frail than beforehand when I was still going to dance class. It feels way more frail than that. So I know recovery is very, very important. It's hard to understand where recovery needs to occur. For example, in my example of me and my move and my new situation right now, it's kind of hard for a lot of people to understand the spiritual and mental recovery that is required with a change of environment and a change of situation. When you're in a change of situation and environment, that's a lot of new mental processes and systems you have to reconfigure or adopt, because it's no longer A to B and then you'll get C. You got to go to A to A.1 to A.3 to A.6 to B.1 to B.8 to B, like, there's a whole new route you got to take, and you probably won't even get to C. You might get to like C.3 or something. Did I explain that well enough? Yeah, but things change, and emotionally things change too, or spiritually I should say, because your new environment, your new circumstances will change how you need to approach things. I'm not in my optimized state for a lot of things that I have left to do on my logbook or my list of quests to fulfill, because a lot of my quests to fulfill are quests that I fulfill in my best state or in certain like states that are optimized for that quest. And sometimes we need to acknowledge that, hey, when it's a particular quest we're choosing to engage in, keep going at it, but understand that you may not give the A+ performance that you were hoping to get. And even if you don't get that A+ performance, that doesn't mean you can't keep moving. I'm definitely dragging this podcast away, way longer than I wanted to. I thought I was going to get half an hour, and I've only touched on recovery right now. But we just got to keep pushing. You know what? I'm going to keep going with this one. I might not touch all of them. I'll slowly touch on the other points. But recovery is very important. So you have optimized performance. So you sustain that sense of longevity. And you also... I want to talk a bit about that longevity part. When we think about longevity, it does affect when we decide to engage in the practice of optimizing our longevity. It will change the way you perform in different activities. Because it might, when you consider longevity, you might then not be trying to go as hard or as fast and furious as you usually do, because you respect the things involved, like your body, other personnel, machinery, systems. You respect all of that, and you want that to be in tip-top shape while still producing optimal results. When you go to a weightlifting gym, or how do I say this, a bodybuilding gym, I should call it, you see a lot of people, they just smash out heaps and heaps of repetitions of all these different exercises, and they go hard, and I'm like, oh wow, cool. Like, I wonder what they're training for. And some of them don't even have a particular goal they're training for. They just know, like, oh, I had to do this and I had to do this, and more is better. But in a sense, like, I can see they're pulling a lot of wear and tear upon themselves. It's hard and it's a bit difficult to explain the specifics of what I'm talking about, but I see a lot of people, especially regular people, who clearly don't have particular goals. Especially when I talk to them, I find like, oh, they're just trying to get fit. They are murdering themselves. Or if they're not murdering themselves, they're putting the particular body parts through a lot of strain and wear and tear. And all for what? For the gains? I don't know. I don't always agree. And I tell them I don't agree with the way they're training, but I tell them, if you want to follow through with this, then go ahead. Because there's always better ways to train, more efficient ways. Or there are more optimized ways for longevity and effectiveness. A little note in training, when it comes to especially bodybuilding, I think in bodybuilding, not too much work is 100% better than lots of work. This one's hard to explain, but it's like your body adapts very quickly to whatever stimulus you give it, whether it be some sort of physical movement, physical engagement, some sort of load that your bones and your muscles have to hold. When they're given a lot, they'll adapt to it very quickly and they'll be strong, which is cool. But when they get used to getting a lot, for it to start growing more and more, you got to give it a lot of a lot. And then when you give it a lot of a lot and it's used to that a lot, it's going to need a lot more of the a lot of a lot. And then that's when things start to kind of get a bit unreasonable. And then, eventually it's going to need to have a lot of, no. But it's just, I don't know, it's ineffective. I've been, lifting weights and stuff since I was like very young, like in early high school and like middle school and stuff. And a lot of the things I learned along the way, like before I used to do heaps and do this, do that. But then when I started engaging in schools of thought where they said, don't do too much, just, pick a few exercises, do a few heavy reps, and that's it, and just keep going it. And then you can start adding more and more and more and more to that, and then eventually taper back to that low amount. You'll see results a lot more than when you before started doing, hundreds of sets a week. And I tell you what, made a huge difference. I grew way faster, way quicker, doing like half the amount of all the cats, less than half the amount than all the cats in the gym were doing. And I knew, it was like, yeah, they're right. Your body does adjust very quickly to whatever it is given. And then when you give it heaps, it will get used to receiving heaps. And then if you want it to get even better, you're going to have to give it heaps of heaps. And the heaps of the heaps. But yeah, whatever. Like that. Look, this talk of balance and moderation, that's something else. But it is... this lower amount of doing stuff, this more efficient amount of volume in terms of whatever, it definitely helped with longevity, because the way it felt for me and my body and my joints, and also just like my nervous system and stuff, felt way better. I felt like I could do more every single day. And even though I was, fuming to do so much more every day, I just knew this is enough. This is all I need to do. And it made sure that every day I could do a lot more. And it was cool because eventually, instead of always feeling like, oh, this lifting weights makes me too drained to do this, do that, I eventually got back into dance classes and, different types of dance, practicing all these different styles. And it was cool because like I could do the weightlifting that I wanted, but I could also engage in the different sports and activities that I wanted to do. And all of them, I kind of gave the same concept, like not too much, just so you can do more later. And it felt better. Like I respected the longevity, and it really gave me the respect back to do more of what I want to do. It was cool. I don't know if this has got to do with warrior spirit, but it can help in a sense. The wisdom that you can find in that is there is a time to go hard, because every once in a while, like for example, at least once a month, I would have a go hard session in whatever it is, whether it's go hard on lifting weights, go hard on this type of dance, or this go hard on this more like floor movement and like spinning kind of dance, or like just whatever, or go hard on flow movements for like a day. Like every once a month or once every month and a half, like I would have a go hard session. And that's just to remind my body, hey, every once in a while we're gonna have to get nasty, we're gonna have to go hard and lethal. Because I find if I don't give myself those little like crazy sessions every once in a while, I get a bit worse at the crazy sessions. And also, all the build up I've been building with the calm sessions, it actually gives you a lot of potential for a crazy session. It's hard to explain. When you don't go too hard every daily session, you leave like a good amount in the tank. That amount of the tank, it kind of becomes potential for a good crazy session. And when I smash that crazy session, it's like, whoa, hells yeah. And I'm ready to do another crazy session again. And then that's why I know, like, all right, this week is crazy week. This is when we're going to go smash shit out. And then even though, like, the following week we do want to go hard again, because I've done this for such a long time, I just know, all right, it's time to chill. It's time to just get back to chilling, or else I'm going to feel it in my knees. Because I do know when I go crazy for too long, I feel it in my knees. And I feel it on my back as well. And at times on my shoulder. Damn, bench press. I don't know. I think a lot of people can relate to that. I don't even know why I still do bench press. It's so useless to me. I don't see how it's going to benefit me in anything. It doesn't help with my dance. Like, it barely helps with my dance. The only thing it helps is when, like, I'm on the floor and I need to, like, push. But that's it. Push-ups are enough for that. But whatever. So, yeah, I found that when you control your engagement and you consider your longevity a bit more, and you also consider recovery, making sure that whatever you do, you don't need too much recovery time, you can get a lot more done. It's amazing. It's a very hard thing to explain in just one sitting, and it's a hard concept to just get straight away. In a sense, it will click to a lot of you. For a lot of you, like, when you think about it, you're like, wow, that makes so much sense. But practice is important, you know. It's not all theory. The practice is where you really learn it. Because right now I'm just spitting theory, and to be honest, spit theory to anyone doesn't mean anything. They need to go practice. Whatever warrior spirit bullshit I talk about now, it's all bullshit. Until you go and apply it. Give it some practice. Like, you make a decision right there and there, like, all right, I'm going to put my willpower on the line and exercise its endurance a bit more. Something like that. Just whatever. I'm going longer. The other part of recovery that definitely needs to be considered, and even not in the recovery stage, this should always be considered as well. This is a very important point for being a true warrior. You got to pick your battles very well and very wisely. Well, you don't have to be too critical about which battles you choose, but you should be able to just have a quick split-second analysis and know whether, it's worth it or not. You know, you should be able to section your battles into A, B, and C. A being, I can do this, no worries. B being like, it's going to take a little bit more effort, but I can definitely find success. I might even achieve a failure, but, you know, it will be healthy in good moderation. And then the C, where it's like, damn, that's hard. The reward is really high, but that's very risky, and that's very troublesome. I might even lose everything I have if things don't go well. But of course, the prize is amazing. With those, tiers, that's only 3 tiers. I said you could break it down into 10 different tiers, whatever, depending on how much capacity or mind capacity you have or brain power you have. But each of those different tiers have different applications of recovery that are required for them. Some of them you won't even meet your chance to recover because it's do or die. Not always the best decisions that you make when you face those do or die ones. But yeah, it's a wisdom of a warrior is choose your battles properly. Yeah, carefully. I don't want to say carefully. It sounds too cautious. I'd say properly, effectively. Yeah. Choose your battles effectively. Because you shouldn't have to engage in every single battle. It's about the moderation. It's always about moderation and balance. Back to center. Okay, so that was a horrible joke. No offense to all my back to center beautifuls out there. You know I love you all. But yeah, you gotta choose what you wish to engage with, because every engagement requires resources, whether that's your own energy, your own physical energy, your own spiritual, your own mental energy. It requires a lot of physical resources, and it involves the most important resource that we here on earth have: time. Choose your battles wisely. That will aid to your recovery process. That will aid to the oncoming recovery processes that you will have to face, because you will have to face recovery processes. Not only bedtime, but even more like, the quieter weeks, the slower weeks. For me, this is sort of a quieter, slower week. I know the time on the ticker right now is not really showing that I'm all about the time recovery in terms of speaking. Man, I could speak for hours, bro. 3 hours on the JRE, that's nothing, bro. I'll do like a 12-hour talk. No worries. Just give me some water and water. Yeah, I'll be no worries. But yeah, pick your battles wisely. I've chosen a lot of poor battles, all because I wanted to, prove to everyone like, nah, I can handle this, I can handle that. And then over time, I get more drained, and I become more stressful, more irritable. And it gets harder to engage with me, because my mind, it has to hold too many damn things at one time, because like, no, I need to do this, and I got to do this, I got to do that. And then someone's trying to start a conversation with me. That's another thing I have to hold. While I'm busy trying to focus and figure this shit out and get all these things done. Damn. I don't like it. I always have to remind myself to not to engage in too many battles. If anything, everyone should only engage in one battle at a time. That's when I'm definitely most effective. One battle at a time. Right now, whether I like it or not, I'm battling of finding a new environment, but I know I gotta get this done, this talk done. So, this is part of the economizing that I've chose to engage with. But yeah, you gotta pick your battles, because you need to sustain the right amount of energy, and you need to make sure that you have all the energy you need for your priorities. Everybody has priorities, and what's important is making sure you always have enough energy for your priorities at the end of the day, whether that be your home, your family, your loved ones. People with children know this 100%. Everyone with a child, like, you understand, whatever you choose to do in life, you're already thinking like, oh, wait, no. Like, you already know what to refuse. Sometimes we need to also explore and see that we can engage in a little bit of this and still have more than enough energy for the kids and whatever we need to do for the kids. But when you consider your priorities, it will teach you about the economy of your energy, your spirituality, in other words. That's a little secret there. Spirituality, my definition, is the economy of energy. Yeah. And when you consider all this and then you pick the correct battles, you'll manage everything better, and it will always ensure that you have a better recovery, because a better recovery means optimized performance for when you need it. I can go on for ages for this topic, and I'm supposed to talk about devotion and roles. I'm just going to touch that really briefly and close this up. So devotion, I was going to talk about that. That's probably the biggest one because that is the main key of the warrior spirit. The part about devotion I did want to talk about, and I'll probably have to chuck it for another time, was understanding your priorities and understanding your purpose. Because when we talk about this recovery and what we need to make sure we're well recovered for, or when we talk about what I was talking about last time, about what was I talking about last time? Oh, the road to strength. What is this recovery for? What is this journey to more strength and more willpower for? What's the purpose behind it? What is the reason that we wish to become mighty? What is the purpose we wish to become more of a warrior and touch into our warrior spirit? It's a lot easier to tap into that warrior spirit and grow your warrior spirit when you are more sure about the why, the purpose, and what it is you're devoted yourself to. The why and the purpose, they're not as specific as the devotion, but the devotion is the key thing, and that's the thing you really need to discover and decide, because once that is decided, being a warrior is not even a problem. Once you've decided what you devote yourself to, you are a warrior. And once you uphold that devotion, that is upholding your warrior spirit. But of course, on the way there, we need to figure out the why, the purpose. Why are we getting mightier? Why are we making sure our spirit isn't defeated by all the mundane obstacles that come our way? Why? Why do we keep ourselves in such a good shape? That's the very important thing to understand, because once you know why, you'll find the specificities of what you need to develop in yourself, what you need to consider, what you need to prioritize. And then that gets into the spiritual practice of re-evaluation. Oh my goodness, did I just get a blackout? What in the hell happened? Oh, I think my light just ran out. And okay, sorry about that. Yeah, so figuring out the why, that will make the road to recovery, the road to strength, the road to willpower, much more effective and efficient. It is way more important to know why we're getting stronger than just getting stronger in general. I don't know. Others might argue otherwise, like, no, just get strong anyway, and then you can find the use. Yeah, I guess so. But it feels better when you get stronger and you know why. It feels 100% better. It feels amazing. I could get stronger at the bench press, but like I said, I don't know why I'm getting stronger. It's never that satisfying. The only thing that satisfies me about it, which is so shallow and crap, is that I get to show my friends, oh, look, at least I can do this much. Oh yeah, he's stronger, but the rest of you, can you do this much? I know Thingy can do it. He's always strong, but at least I can do this. That's the only reason why I got bench press behind me. All the other things in weightlifting, like my squat and all that, I know exactly why I'm developing that. I know why I'm doing these silly ass jumps off the box. I'm doing these weird lunges and runs and all that. I know exactly what I'm doing. And that's what makes them so satisfying. It actually doesn't matter what anyone's saying. Like, why are you training that? Why are you doing this? Like, who cares? I know why I'm doing it. I know why I am achieving more in this specific aspect. But when you don't know, it gets a bit confusing. It gets tiring. So, understand your why. And when you know why you need to recover for something, it might change your sense of urgency. It might make it more urgent, but if anything, you'll respect the recovery more when there's more of a why reason. Because you'll know, like, all right, 12 weeks, I need to sit out. All right, I'll respect that. Because you know why you need that. And then the why also helps with that last point I want to talk about, which is the role. Your role. And I can't explain too much right now, but your role, it's best you discover that, because your role will help you define yourself. Your role will help you define your environment and where you are. And your role will help you define how you yourself and your environment around you, outside of you, come together. And what the purpose of that little romance might be. Because if there's no romance, then why would you dwell there? Why would you seek love where love doesn't exist? Understand your role. Discover what your role is if you haven't. Discover what your role should be. Not exactly what you want it to be, but what it should be, what it could be. And when you understand yourself more, you will understand more of what it should be. Because some might want to be, the best race car driver, but you ain't got anything that makes you good for race car driving. You need to reevaluate that that desire of yours and see like what it is you have in you, and what role is better suited for you, what environment is better suited for you, what you is better suited for you. That is your role, and that is something that all warriors know very well. Warriors know 100% what their role is. They feel it in their bones. They see it every single day along their path. Understand your role. Discover your role. Discover you. Discover your purpose, your reason, your why, your sense, or what you devote yourself to. And respect your recovery. Because your recovery is about you in your situation. It's about you and your role. You'll find strength the more you get to understand these things. My goodness, I am professing a philosophical class about spirituality. How did it come to this? I'm not a hippie. I'm just a person that has helped many succeed. And I'm just a person that has won many battles that others didn't want to engage in. I'm just a person that has a big role on this earth. And that's to empower everybody I can. In any way that I can. While I'm stuck here in this small home, and when I get to my big castle, any way I can. That is my role. So I'm taking the steps I need to fulfill that. And to make the most of it. So that I can see everyone smile and stand strong. And we can all dance. Because the earth will one day be united. One day. Hopefully in my lifetime. My power's out, so I'm signing out.